locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no.
Is that you and me every time you want me to do another one of these shows? You saying yes, me saying no?
Well, that's the two Daniel Bryan chants.
Really?
When he was a good guy, it was always yes, yes, yes. When he's a bad guy, it was always no, no, no.
So much geekdom here. I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey,
don't even say it.
I gotta say
don't
it.
even say it.
I gotta say it.
Oh, God Almighty!
Happy 100th episode of the Duke Loves Rasslin Podcast.
Well, what'd you get me?
How awesome is that?
What did you get me?
I got you. Actually, I did get you some. I got you the drink over there. Look at that.
What did you get me? This is 99 cents. I know how much it is because it says 99 cents here. That's what you got me?
So what?
For 100 episodes?
Why are you...
100 episodes of looking at you?
You're going to look a gift horse in the mouth, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Why?
Because of all the painstaking work I do to develop this show, to get guests on this show, to deal with your listeners who, especially this past week, have acted like total subhumans. Stop I deserve a little bit more than the 99 cent. As delicious as this is, a 99 cent drink.
Give me a break. Listen, I got a problem here.
Oh, boy. You act like I care, but
so, folks, I got to peel back the curtain again, like I like to do. And
is this like when we talked about how you wear a fanny pack? Is that what this is?
I love my fanny pack. But the Boston bad boy invited one of his numbskull friends over here, and the first thing the guy says to me, which I got to tell you, first of all, just so you know, I kicked him out, so he's not coming back in to the secret location.
Boy, you talk a lot of ragtime. Let me tell you.
But this guy says to me, "Oh, you got those little strawberry candies?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's wrong with the strawberry candies? I like to have the strawberry candies because I like to have it because it gives me some lubrication for the throat.
Let me give a visual
I'm
here.
talking a lot. I like to have little candies." And he says to me, "Well, they remind me of my mom. My mom used to have those, like an old lady." And I'm like,
"It is like an old lady."
Let me tell you something.
It is like an old lady.
Jerk. What are you doing in my secret location, first of all? I didn't invite you here. I don't care if he's your friend. Don't have your friends come in here if they're going to disrespect the strawberry candy.
All right, first of all, you are an old lady. And secondly, all right, if you're listening to the show right now, close your eyes. Think of your grandma. Maybe you have an aunt, a great aunt. She had that dish in her house somewhere that was full of the hard candy. A lot of times it was stuck together. Maybe it was the ribbon candy. But they had those little candies in there that wrapped and they looked like strawberries. And no one ever ate them. You weren't even quite sure they were candy or if they were like marbles or something. Every week, every effing week, when I record this show, I got a pile of these things staring me in the face because he comes in here, he unzips that fanny pack, and that's all he carries in there. It's like how the Queen only carries a handkerchief from that purse she has all the time. He's got this fanny pack full of these candies, the last one of which was produced in 1964.
Stop it. Stop
Where are you getting these things?
I like them.
Where do you get them?
I like
Christmas tree shop? Is
you
that
know
where you're
what else
going?
I like? I like the silver mints. Remember the silver mints?
Oh,
I love
God
the silver
almighty.
mints. They're just unbelievable.
Do you live in a nursing home? Is that where you live when you're not here?
Leave me alone. Listen, folks, I'm going to put up a picture of the strawberry candy, and we'll put up a poll. Do you like the strawberry candy? You know they got the little filling in there, too. It's delicious. I love the strawberry candy.
It's like candy from the Depression. It's unbelievable.
It still works.
It's depressing.
It works.
Let me just tell you something right now, and I'm not joking. You bring one effing Necco wafer in here, you're done.
Dude,
you're all done.
You're all done. They're going out of business.
Yeah, they should. They should have gone out of business 500 years ago.
Stop it. Shout out to Necco wafers.
Please.
Locally produced here.
Yeah, you know what? Produce something delicious like a Kit Kat bar, then we can talk.
No, we're not going to talk
Necco
about
wafers. That's like before people had access to sugar. They thought Necco wafers were good.
Stop it. Stop it right now. What are the top stories in the world of professional wrestling?
Don't really care after that.
Well, we're going to find out during Run the Ropes. Big Vito LoGrasso. He's going to join us, and man, does he have a lot to say. The big news, Daniel Bryan.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, folks.
Yeah, I'm going to go over here and drink my 99-cent drink.
You're going to wait, Boston bad boy. I'm not trying to hear your opinion on Daniel Bryan being cleared by the WWE. We're going to wait to the end of the show. Okay, so, folks, I promise you, this is the 100th episode. We are going to allow the Boston bad boy to unleash.
What do you mean allow? What do you mean allow?
Well,
where do you get off saying you allow me to do anything?
I got to rein you in sometimes.
You're unbelievable.
Because you go out on a limb sometimes, pal.
Yeah. You know what limb I'm going on out right now?
What's that?
This one.
That was rude.
Anything to get this show moving
But
along.
that was rude.
Listen, 100 shows. I got 99 problems, and this show ain't one. So let's move it along.
Unbelievable. It's time to run the ropes. It's when I educate this knucklehead Boston bad boy in the top 5 stories in the world of professional wrestling. Let's go. John Cena continues to call out The Undertaker. I mean, this is really a thing here for this guy. It's like he feels like in order to justify his career, he needs to wrestle The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Well, really, at this point, I don't know what justifies his career. Although I was scrolling through the IG the other day.
Okay.
That'd be Instagram for the kids following along at home. I may or
You're
may
hip.
not. I
You're
may
so
or may
hip.
not have been looking at various, people who we interact with, and Gal Gadot, perhaps.
Oh,
She always
God.
inspires me to get through the day.
Maybe Lolly.
Listen, I didn't say it. You said it. But I did notice there was an ad for a movie. I think it's called Cock Blockers.
Yes.
And I think it's John Cena who, in the quick ad, throws a guy up against a wall, which actually was kind of funny. But his acting is so bad that when he turns around to throw the guy, he's off on the wrong leg. And I thought to myself, here's a guy who's in a movie. He got multiple takes. He's been on TV before. His job is to throw guys around. And he didn't look good doing it. I just thought he should have looked better throwing a guy against a wall.
But you do realize when it doesn't look good, it's because it's too real. That's the problem.
Well, right, but but it's a movie where they can make it look good.
Yeah, but
they decided
he would
not
really
to.
hurt you if he threw you against the wall.
No, right. But here's the thing: he should know how to throw a guy against the wall or not throw a guy against. He's
Are
not
you
shooting
calling
with
John
the guy.
Cena a bad wrestler?
I'm calling John Cena not only a bad wrestler, I'm calling him a bad actor, and I'm telling him to get out of my life and tear up the contract and go.
I don't know what to do with this guy, folks. He really is a piece
Why don't you let
of
me out of
work.
my contract? How about that?
No. How about that? No.
How about that?
Yeah, there
Take
it
it,
is.
cash me outside.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Alexa Bliss pisses off Nia Jax.
Uh-oh.
So Alexa Bliss.
It's a whole lot of
She
women
was-
to piss off.
I'm telling you right now, man. She was caught on camera disrespecting Nia Jax. So it looks like we are on a collision course for WrestleMania. It's going to be Alexa Bliss, the Raw Women's Champion, going up against Nia Jax. And let me tell you something. You talk about David versus Goliath. This is going to be something else. I mean, Nia Jax is like, I think her leg is bigger than Alexa Bliss's whole body.
Wow.
But Alexa Bliss is 5 feet of fury. She's going to kick Nia Jax's butt, okay? I'm telling you that's what's going to happen.
Whatever happened to your last predictions? Oh, right, they were all wrong as usual.
No, I was actually right.
No.
So
No, I'm rewriting the record
How could
book.
you
so-
rewrite the record books?
Because I'm in charge.
I was right.
I'm in charge.
Give me a break.
I took charge of someone else's Facebook post the other day. You saw how that happened.
Yeah, that
I
was
took
no
charge
good.
and laid it out.
That was no good. All right. NWA champion Nick Aldis has pissed off Tommy Dreamer. So this is a thing here. Tommy Dreamer, who has his, House of Hardcore stuff there. He has his own promotion.
Yes.
Nick Aldis, a.k.a. Magnus, he is the NWA champion. He beat our friend Tim Storm for the belt. They don't like each other. And it's like some real bad blood, bro.
It's like you and me.
Well, worse.
Except I don't actually beat you up because that'd be unfair.
So they're going to have a wrestling match with each other, but I think that somebody might actually get hurt because the way they talk about each other, it's not pretty.
Well, does it? How often does a real shoot exist anymore? I mean, we talked to
happens.
folks, back in the day. You talked to, the famous story of Moolah. We talked about that last week.
Sure.
How often is that happening when these guys are big money guys, though?
I showed you when Brock
You
Lesnar
did.
took a knee from Braun Strowman, and he felt that he was a little too stiff, so when Lesnar got up, he uppercutted Strowman and knocked him out.
That's true.
Knocked him out!
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like the money's so big now, the guys don't even want to go down that road.
Yeah, but Brock Lesnar, you're not going to give him a
But
knee.
he gets paid for actually killing people.
Yeah,
right?
so he literally almost killed that man with that one punch. It was pretty gnarly.
Maybe
actually.
I can watch the video again and learn how to do it, and then I'll be out of my contract.
You will never be out of your contract, just so you know. Ric Flair launches his own suit line. Custom made from head to toe, my man.
You know what? I'm surprised you aren't wearing one already.
I already ordered mine. so
Oh,
just
boy.
so you know, I'm going to be styling and profiling like the nature boy.
And let me guess, you wrote it off as a business expense
Stay
because
out
of this show.
Stay out of this.
I know exactly what you
Jesus.
did. You
Don't-
know what?
Uncle Sam, don't listen. All right? If you go over to RicFlair.com, you can get your own Ric Flair suit. Okay? You can be custom made like the champ, folks. How awesome is that?
You know, the thing is, you can dress up like Ric Flair, but you ain't ever going to be Ric Flair. And it's like dressing up like Batman. How do you walk around like that with any self-respect? Let the man have his thing. I don't think there's only reason you especially should dress up like Ric Flair because you are so far away from Ric Flair. It's like you're almost all the way back on the other side.
He finds way to say things that are so insulting, and it's so
when it comes to you, it's very easy.
Yeah, well, whatever.
I hate to tell you.
Roman Reigns gets his butt kicked. So this guy had the audacity to call out Brock Lesnar, to disrespect Kurt Angle. This is on Raw. Mm-hmm. And then my friend, Brad Stevens, who's part of the Duke's Wrestling crew, he showed up. He was deputized, so he was the law. Okay? So he showed up and he let Roman know. They put him in handcuffs and let him know, come on, it's time to go. And then Roman proceeded to beat on him and the other guys, beating up on law enforcement.
Wow.
So here's what I need.
All right. Yeah.
I need Roman Reigns in jail. Okay? Because I'm sorry, but I got to defend my friends here. Brad Stevens is a friend of mine.
There's a couple of things we're going to talk about here, and it has nothing to do with wrestling.
Roman needs to go to jail.
All right. Here's a couple of things. And you're in the know. You come from a law enforcement family.
I do.
In real life.
I do.
When you go to jail, if you go to jail,
mm-hmm.
should you really go up to the biggest guy and punch him right in the mouth?
Yes,
the first
you
thing
have
you
to
do.
do it. You have to do it.
Okay.
You have to.
Number one,
yep.
That's the first thing you got to do. So that's a public service
You're
message.
You might die afterwards, but you got to take that risk.
Well, you'd rather die compared to some of the things that could happen to you.
Exactly.
So you might as well. roll the dice on it.
Yep.
Secondly,
mm-hmm.
you see it in the movies all the time. Is there such a thing as deputizing an agent of the law in real life?
Yes. It happens in a lot of small towns.
Can a police person do it? Does it? I mean,
well,
in other words,
you
can
have
an average
to be like the chief or whatever.
All right, so it's you need the head guy to do it. So
head
you can't,
guy has to do it.
Your average police officer.
You can swear somebody in. Yeah.
And say now. Do they put a time? Like, listen, at midnight it expires, so you can't just go around.
That's exactly what they do. They put some kind of clause.
So you're almost like you could be like the gunslinger, come and say, "Listen, I'm going to put together a policy.
There was a guy
guys.
who shot someone. He was like a deputized volunteer person, and he actually shot someone and got in trouble for it.
Well, that's the thing. If you're deputized, are you allowed to use the same deadly force that a police officer is allowed to?
It gets a little murky, but it didn't
Which
work out
calls
for
the
that
question,
dude.
do you want to become deputized?
Not me.
I don't want to be president. I don't want to be deputized.
Yeah, but Brad is a good guy, and we have his lovely wife, too.
No, I
Great
understand
people.
that.
Roman had no business putting his hands on him.
What I'm saying is it's a murky area.
Sure.
And so it's like you end up like Barney Fife here. Maybe RFD, you can't pull your gun out quick enough.
Sure.
And a whole lot of mess happens.
Sure, but Brad's not Barney Fife. But hey,
my
man Brock Lesnar came out with the chair and beat the hell out of Roman, so it worked out. It worked out.
I don't think Roman Reigns is going to jail.
I'm going to put him in jail.
You can't do that.
I'm going to find a way.
You know why?
Citizen's arrest.
Is that a real thing?
It will be now.
Oh, talk about liability.
And the number one story in the world of professional wrestling is Daniel Bryan cleared to wrestle by the WWE. Now, look, Boston Bad Boy.
If I didn't laugh, I'd cry.
We are going to discuss this further later in the show. In fact, you know what? Let's just table this because we have our good friend Big Vito LoGrasso coming up in a little while. We'll get his take on it first, and then I'll allow you to unleash. But we're going to table it for now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Hey, this is the Duke of Dorchester, the one, the only, the man of the hour. Yeah, can you handle that, baby? I want to tell you this. You've been listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
All right, Boston Bad Boy. So this past, Tuesday on SmackDown, the whole internet literally broke.
Yes.
With the news that WWE superstar and former World Heavyweight Champion Daniel Bryan has been medically cleared to once again wrestle in the WWE. Now, I know that we're going to have a conversation about this a little later, but before we did, I wanted to reach out to our favorite former WWE superstar and somebody who knows a little something about concussions, who's an expert on the whole CTE stuff. So let's get our buddy Big Vito LoGrasso on the line here to share some insight on what the heck is going on here. So, Big Vito, you there?
Yes.
How are you, brother?
Good evening, all of Duke of Wrestling. And I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you very much for having me on the show tonight, guys. Let's rock and roll. Let's talk about what's going on in wrestling today.
Yes, sir. Let's just jump right into this, Vito. When did you hear the news about Daniel Bryan being cleared, and what was the first thoughts that came to mind when you heard that?
Well, I mean, I heard when it first broke. I'm not sure the exact time, but the same day it broke, the same time I heard it. And my thoughts were, I was like shocked, and you know, it's definitely for somebody who's as serious as him, having to go back to wrestling. You know, it's taking a big risk because you never know what can happen. It's one slip, one hard shot, one knock to the head. You know, plus he had a history of seizures, as we saw on the one episode of SmackDown. So it's a very risky, very, very risky move on his part. I mean, he's got a brand new baby, he's got a beautiful wife, he's got money in the bank, you know, but the guy's passion is wrestling, so I can understand that to a certain point. But you are taking a risk, and it's a risk he's willing to take, and I guess we're going to have to see how it pans out.
Let me ask you a question directly that I don't see get asked enough. How common, in your experience, is concussions in pro wrestling?
Well, I didn't know I was having concussions when I was having them. And, I mean, you know, the only thing I knew is that you had to get knocked out to have a concussion. And that's how I was brought up. That's what I knew. It's not like today where you know all these ins and outs. So, I mean, you know, it's definitely a different era from when I wrestled and what wrestling is now.
Yeah, that's for sure. This whole concept, because, you know, let's refresh everyone's memory here. You're part of the CTE concussion lawsuit there, and you have the promotion Take a Knee for CTE. You know, that's something that you've gotten a lot of press and a lot of attention about there because you're trying to bring awareness to CTE in pro wrestling. Do you feel Daniel Bryan is making the right move doing something like this?
Well, do I feel I'm not in Daniel Bryan's shoes, but I can't speak for him. But looking from the outside, looking in, you know, it's like a very serious issue, and you know, it's like, why would you put yourself in danger of possibly having, you know, something fatal happen to you? I mean, with all the testing and all the stuff that we know and everything, he could be as clear as day, but all it takes is one mistake, one wrong pile driver, one wrong slam, one wrong crack at the back of the head, one wrong something to trigger something, and he could be paralyzed. He could die. It could be fatal. I mean, there's a lot of things that are at stake. But that's Daniel Bryan's decision. That's not my decision. It's not the WWE decision. Obviously, they have a hand in it because, you know, it's a draw. And it's still a money and a business, and if he's willing to do it and the doctors say okay, I'm sure I would bet dollars to donuts there was some kind of discussion on paperwork and liability and everything. But that's between, you know, the two parties. I'm not privy to any of that information, but a smart man, betting man would say, okay, it's got to be some kind of agreement in place. With that said, you know, good luck to Daniel Bryan. I hope nothing happens to you. I hope everything works out for the way you want. And sometimes it's just better to walk away instead of taking that one last bump. Because one last bump could be the bump that makes it the one last time we see Daniel Bryan. And that goes to anybody else out there who has had concussions. If you think you're that good and you think you're that strong and tough, you know, your head could be tough, your jaw could be tough, your brain is not tough. And that's a risky payday. You know, you can make $1 million, but is your wife and children and your family worth more than money? So that's a good question to put at the end of the day.
Well, you know, you brought out the fact that it's a draw, and that's what drives something like this. Do you think the fans have any responsibility here for turning this into a blood sport rather than what professional wrestling is, which is an athletic contest?
Well, I mean, you have the marks out there who kind of like run things now, and it's not like the old days when kayfabe was involved, and you have all the social media stuff. You have your trolls, your marks, you know, your writers, you know, guys who do podcasts, guys who think they know the wrestling business. But until you actually live it and do it, you really can't say for sure what's what.
Yeah, that's for sure. Wow. Vito, what's going on? You got any updates on the CTE lawsuit?
It's still in litigation, guys. I know there was somebody put out something on Facebook, and Tracy Smothers hit me up and said, "Hey, what happened to your lawsuit?" And it was just a bunch of cut and pastes from documents. But the litigation is still going on. It's still, I just had a talk with the lawyer, Constantine Kairos, just the other day, a couple of days ago, and we had to do some more questions. But I mean, it's still going, and for all the things that have happened in wrestling, and for this to come to light, God forbid something happens to Daniel Bryan, and you know what? It's going to be an example, and maybe it could be a great example, or it could be a fatal example. But that's a 50-50 that somebody's willing to take. Guys always have a plan B, and maybe wrestling that one last match or taking that one last bump maybe, isn't the smallest thing you could do when you're in this kind of position. But every guy still thinks he could do it. I don't care who you are, because that goes for me too. I still think I can go out there, but I know, that something happens, or and I like to be, I like to wrestle and be tight and do all my stuff. But, if somebody wants to be test Big Vito, I'm going to go and I'm going to do my thing. I'm not going to, change who I am in the ring. But I'll tell you one thing. When you have to think about your health and think about things instead of going reckless abandon, that's when there's tendencies to make a mistake and for something to happen. I will repeat that again. When you don't have any kinks in your armor and there's nobody who could take you down and you're invincible, the first time you have something that there is a kink in your armor, you always got to think about what if. And you won't go reckless abandon. You be conservative, and you're not going to be the same wrestler as before. You will never be that, that guy who did the 50 things. You might do it once. People are going to expect you to do it 50 times, but then you're going to say, "Oh no, I can't." So what does that mean? You're better off staying retired, and you're better off staying for what the people remembered you for.
Wow, that was just insightful, powerful words there, Vito. Listen, if fans, promoters, if anybody wants to reach out to Big Vito, what's the best way they can reach you there?
Guys, go to my website, bigvito.com. We got a lot of good stuff on there. We have a couple of jackets for sale. We have all my social media affiliates. A lot of people know I do a podcast with Vince Russo, and I'm doing all that kind of stuff. And I do the Super Ugly Show with the Russo brand, a bunch of good guys that just like to hang out and have a good time. Check out my wife has been doing a great job with spilling the tea with Teen Moms. A great show. She had 500,000 downloads on the Russo podcast. And she's been the one getting all the stuff and getting the interviews. Congratulations to her. She just debuted another show, Super Ugly Wives show, and they actually had a pretty cool show. So, I mean, if you guys are going to catch that one too. It's Noelle LoGrasso, and she's on this Twitter, you know what I mean? So go follow her, show her some love. And I just want to add one thing. Guys, I know social media is very powerful, and a lot of people have a lot of hate to spew. But when you're spewing hate and you want bad things to happen to people, it's always going to come back to you. When you have that voice and you want to spread propaganda and false information about somebody, people lose their jobs or they lose something out of it. And a lot of times it's not good. If you got nothing nice to say, don't say it. I know there was a situation with the Vince Russo podcast crew, and allegations were made and they were turned up to be false. And for what that is, Vince Russo doesn't do anything wrong. He just likes to be on podcasts. He does his thing, wants to make money for his family. People still harsh on, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Give it up, people. You're still harping on the man today. Give it a rest. I really could care less what you people say. It doesn't matter to me. I don't sit there on Twitter. I don't listen to the trolls. And I don't even respond to it. I'm not even going to mention the person's name. But all I got to say, if you got nothing nice to say and you can't bring peace and harmony to people's lives, then keep it to yourself. Misery loves company. And that's the way I'll end that.
You know something, Vito? I'm gonna put out a challenge right now, because I know that you and Vince Russo go back many years. You're very close. Your wife is close with him. You're close with his family. we have an open invitation, Vince, to come on the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. We don't have to talk about all the crazy things going on right now. Be honest with you, I'd love to talk to Russo about his family and his faith, because there's some interesting stuff he has going on with that, and I think that there's a side to him that a lot of people don't realize even exists. So let him know. Let him know for us that he has an open invitation.
He's just so bogged down right now. So he's gone through such emotional turmoil over all this stuff that the guy didn't do anything. And, you know, the podcast people, you know, they let him go. And then all of a sudden, as soon as all the people started up subscribing, they called him up. Well, it was a misunderstanding. No, it wasn't. You're not paying them what you're supposed to. And I'm going to put this out there. My wife had the biggest show on that network at 500,000 downloads. Okay? PodcastOne went and put their own advertising ads on there, and they kept the money. My wife is the one who did the show. My wife didn't make a dime for that show. So what does that tell you? You're taking advantage of a handicapped woman? You should be ashamed of yourself. You're taking advantage of all the people who put their time in. You should be ashamed of yourself. You can't keep all the money. You can't be that greedy. What happens now? They're scrambling because now they're losing subscribers. They're losing money. If you're not greedy and you share the wealth, you'll always be wealthy. If you're going to be greedy, you're going to wind up bankrupt.
His name is the Big Vito. Big Vito LoGrasso. We appreciate you, brother.
Thank you very much. And do give me a call after you're done with the podcast, and we will talk about some other business. Guys, you know, keep it real, keep it cool. And remember, wrestling is not real life. It's all make-believe. I'll talk to you guys later.
Man, the one thing about Big Vito LoGrasso is that every time he comes on, he's going to make news.
I like him. He reminds me of I was just watching Goodfellas.
Yeah.
He's just like one of the guys in the neighborhood.
Of course.
He's one of the guys in the neighborhood.
He's one of us.
He's one of us. You know what? They're good fellas. When you're one, we're all one.
He's a good fella.
Exactly right. But he did say something that was interesting. He said, "Misery loves company," and it occurred to me we should change the name of the podcast to "Misery Loves Company," since I'm miserable having to sit here with you every week.
Would you stop?
I'm just saying. I wrote it down. I made a little note of it because I thought it was very interesting.
It boggles my mind how every week you can complain, but yet you love the attention that you get from all the adoring fans. You love to be famous. People know who you are now.
If you want me to replay,
you were nobody before this show.
If you want me to replay last week's show, the interview we did about and some of the stuff that I have from off the air.
Don't start.
Listen. I could bring that in.
We're going to burn
if
that.
We're going to talk about how popular I am.
Yeah, we're going to burn that.
Yeah,
all right, we're going to pretend that never happened.
Yeah,
okay.
I bet
you got models inviting themselves to come see you. Give me a break.
Listen,
what's wrong with you?
It's the Kavorka. You can't. Listen, there is no remedy, and heavy is the head, as you know. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I believe that's in the Bible.
You're a piece of work, folks. Up next, it's what you all been waiting for. We've been drawing this out for the whole show. We're going to discuss the latest developments of the saga that is the WWE and Daniel Bryan's career.
You're really going to get me going again?
Well, yeah.
Do you think I have the energy? I got agita here because of this.
I know you feel passionate about this issue, and anyone who's been listening to our show since day one, I mean, like we said earlier, it's the 100th episode.
That's right.
We're about to celebrate our 2-year anniversary coming up.
See, I blacked out on that. I didn't even remember. You said that earlier.
Well,
I just, I had this thing. It was like the blood.
Because you just keep going, man. You're in the game.
Oh.
But it's one thing that we've consistently discussed is Daniel Bryan. He's one of my favorites of all time, and he's somebody that you have taken a lot of interest in his career and his safety. Let's be honest. You have.
Hey, listen. Never mind. You know what?
Treat him like a human being. So we're going to talk about this. Let's take our break real quick, and then we'll come back. And folks, strap in.
Just one last question before we go. How many episodes of this show am I contractually obligated to do?
1 million.
This is former WWE superstar Al Snow and magician to the blind. You're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
All right, folks, it is that time of the show. We've been building this thing up. I mean, Jesus, since the news hit, everyone's been asking us, Duke, Boston Bad Boy, what do you think about this Daniel Bryan story?
And, even when people aren't asking me, I injected myself. I injected myself against my better judgment.
Yeah.
I injected myself to talk to your people
My people.
Yeah, your people, your fans.
They're your people when you want them to be, but they're my people when you don't want them to be.
Let me just tell you something. I looked at some of the pictures of those people. They're not my people.
Oh,
all right?
my goodness.
My people.
What, they're not from Wakanda? Is that the issue here? You know?
Yeah, you know what? And let me just say, there were people who were on my side, so a shout out to them. I don't remember your names because I don't really do that, but these folks who call themselves wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And are willing to watch a guy die in the ring. And so right there, I was so angry. I had to walk. I couldn't type. I couldn't argue with the idiocy of what's going on with this Daniel Bryan.
So I know we're going to have a caveat here before we jump in, but let me just say this: there's been a lot of, especially people in the industry, who have taken offense to you saying that he's going to die in the ring, quote unquote.
Who? Tell me who.
People.
Let me name and I don't want name names.
People. I'm not going to go there. But my point is this: we don't know he's going to die in the ring, and we hope he doesn't die in the ring. And I know you're not saying that you hope he's going to die. Of
course not.
But it is a possibility, based on his history, that this guy is going to be in bad shape if he takes the wrong bump.
You know what? Let me. You know what? You're right. Let me rephrase. He'll be lucky if what happens to him is dead in the ring. If he ends up being a vegetable because they are allowing him to take hits and he shouldn't be taking hits, that's the worst outcome for this.
All right, let me back
He's got a young family, a wife. It's ridiculous. And you know what? You know who's fueling this on top of the McMahons? It's the fans. Like I just said to Vito, the fans want this to be a blood sport. And that's not what this is. Go watch UFC if you want to see a guy have his nose pushed up into his brainstem and be a paraplegic. That's not what professional wrestling is, you clowns.
Wow, you're really
Listen, you know, and most of the fans know. I don't follow wrestling that closely. But this is real life, folks. This is a guy who's working for a living. This is a guy who has a history. This is a guy who has real life things happen to him that they're trying to now make money off of. Because, correct me where I'm wrong, and this is to bring everybody up to speed, and I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest. This guy, trained by a very good friend of ours,
Rudy Boy Gonzalez, one of the top trainers in the world.
He goes out and makes his bones in the Indies.
Yep.
On his way up, because he's such a fan of wrestling, this guy is a bigger fan of wrestling than you. He takes a lot of bumps. He gets his ass handed to him, but he's fighting. He's working his way, and guess what happens? Well, he makes it to the big time. But eventually, those bumps catch up with him. You know, he's the champion. The people love him. The fans love him. Because really, he doesn't have a strong gimmick. He's Daniel Bryan is kind of, but whatever it was, it resonated with the fans.
The lovable underdog.
Exactly. Fine. Let's go with that. He makes his way up. The medical issues start catching up with him. He's in a contract. He gets sidelined by the WWE. What happens there? So he gets a bunch of injuries. He starts having seizures. And the WWE brings them to their guys. And their guys say, universally,
they check out his head and they say, yeah, hell no. We're not going to sanction that you
effing way.
Let this guy wrestle again.
No way.
He may die in the ring, literally.
But this guy, he's a geek. He's a wrestling fanatic. He wants to wrestle no matter what, come hell or high water. So he goes out on his own nickel and gets all these other doctors who don't know a thing or two about wrestling specifically. They're not necessarily sports doctors. And they all say, well, I don't know. I guess so. Mind you, this is before all this CTE stuff blew up and became mainstream, which was only a couple of years ago that this was happening. And CTE is very recently, within the last year and a half. So he goes out and does that. All these other doctors clear him, quote unquote. WWE says, no effing way. Because as much as I think McMahon's a stooge and a moron, let's follow the money. Does he want to write a gigantic check to this guy's family when he dies or becomes a paraplegic in the ring when they knew he was unfit? No. So they sideline him. And they make him general manager of SmackDown or whatever the hell it is. But he's unhappy. He's unhappy. He says, let me out of the contract. Let me out of the contract. I'll take my chances on the indie scene again. I'll go get beat up again. And what do they say?
Well, they cleared him, and I guess the thought process is, well, if he's going to wrestle anywhere, he might as well wrestle here where we can protect him.
No. This is now. I'm talking about when he initially asked to be cleared.
Oh, they said, hell no. They're not letting him out of his contract.
And they said,
you're under contract.
You're under contract.
No.
We made you what you are.
Yeah.
The typical
you're
McMahon.
You're not going anywhere.
The typical McMahon. I don't know what to do with you, but I'm certainly not going to let you go because at some point, I think I can cash in on you. And guess what happened this week? Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Okay.
The McMahons decided that they were going to roll the dice with a man's life because that's what the fans want, and that's what's going to get asses in seats, and that's what's going to get people paying for pay-per-view. So, as much as I blame the McMahons for not protecting the people who work for them, I blame the fans even more. The subhumans, several of which I argued with on a thread. I don't know why. I have a very finite time on this earth, and I wasted my breath on you people. But you're all at fault. You're all at fault. And if you're going to sit there, you, Duke, if you're going to sit there and defend the WWE, you're even more at fault.
Hold on. First of all, okay? I don't know a bigger Daniel Bryan fan than I. I traveled all the way to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania from here to see him wrestle on his first big event when he was American Dragon. So I literally, his entire career, I've been with this kid.
All right.
Okay? I'm very concerned about this.
As you should be.
I'm very disturbed by this. This kid was having seizures.
Yeah.
He's had over 20 concussions.
Yeah.
He can't even count how many concussions he's had. He's had so many. But he guesses between 20 and 30. That's a lot, dude. And a concussion is your brain bouncing against your skull.
It's a bruise on your brain. There's bleeding. There's a whole thing.
And if you're having seizures, what the hell is going on?
There's a reason why your brain is encased in a thick skull. And the idea is that it can't take too much of a beating.
Sure, and that liquid in there, plasma or whatever, is to help soften so it doesn't bang against your skull.
So tell me what kind of a world we're living in 2018, where a fan-driven entertainment sport like professional wrestling is being pushed to the point where a man who may die from slipping and falling on the ice out front of his house is allowed by the WWE to take bumps. They already got him beat up. They beat him up the other day on TV.
Yeah, they had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
You sent me that clip, and I said, are you effing kidding me?
It was pretty stiff. Yeah.
Listen, you and I both know professional wrestling, they can do anything they want as far as storyline. They could write this. He could come on in a helicopter. He could, whatever. They could bring him back into it. They could do something interesting with him. Maybe he does a few things, this and that, and then it's a teaser. Keep the people on the hook. But no, they're going to have this guy take bumps, and they're shooting themselves in the foot two ways. Way number one, he may die or become a vegetable, which is not only bad for him, God forbid, and his family with a young child, but two, it's bad for the sport. Because there was a lot of bad business when
Owen Hart passed away.
Exactly.
Of course.
That was not good for business.
And I hate to bring that up.
No, but that's the reality of it. That's the reality of what these guys are willing to do for the show. And it's the job of the show to put some reasonable protections in here. Secondly, they're ruining one of the longest-running, organically manifested storylines that the people really love, which is, will this guy or won't this guy? The tragedy of Daniel Bryan. The tragedy on the sideline, looking in and never being able to do it. But they're too stupid to write anything like that. Could you imagine? That's like, it's already written itself for you. There's tragedy. There's the tease. Will he, won't he? I don't. And now they're just going to throw him in there. He's going to do whatever he can do, which is probably not a lot, because he's going to have it in the back of his head that he doesn't want to die, even though he wants to wrestle.
Well, let's hope.
But, I mean, he's got a kid now to worry.
Sure.
A young kid. He didn't have that 2 or 3 years ago to worry about.
Yeah.
Things change.
Yeah.
So what is going on here? It makes no sense. These people who call themselves fans should be writing letters to the WWE saying, you know what? We love our guy. We'll watch him wash dishes on TV. We'll watch him do whatever you want. We just don't want him to go away.
Every fan that has cheered this whole nonsense
should
on
be
Daniel
ashamed
Bryan
of themselves.
wrestling again. Yeah, seriously, you should be ashamed of yourself. I mean, it's disgraceful. It's heartbreaking. I would hope he doesn't need the money that bad, and I think it's not about money. I think it's literally his passion, because this is the one thing that he loved more than anything else, that he put his whole life into, becoming a professional wrestler and actually performing, actually being a wrestler. But you got to protect the athlete, folks. And sometimes you got to protect them from themselves.
Well, that's just the thing.
So
how old of a guy is Dan? He's in his early
like
30s.
34.
Yeah, he's a young guy.
Yeah.
Again, a super freak. Listen, if Richard Branson came to me and said, "I'm going to take you on we're going to go to space. You want to go? I got a seat." And the doctor said, "Mike, you can't. You got an embolism. You can't go." I'm still going to consider going. You know what I mean? Like,
That's what you want to do.
But I'm counting on you to say, dude, is it worth it?
Yeah. We're not going to let you do that.
Right. We're not going to let you do that. Yep. Sorry, because you
could be pissed at me for the rest of your
absolutely.
your life.
And I would be. But you know what? Let's talk about what the right thing to do is here.
Exactly.
And you know this guy's poor wife, who's also a professional wrestler, who also gets it, has to be horrified here.
But she gave him her blessing. That's part of this thing here.
You don't know what went on behind the scenes.
Well,
and you don't know what kind of financial pressures are going on with these people. So again, we're dealing with the McMahons.
Stop it right now.
And
I'm not willing to say that.
You know.
I'm not willing to say
then
that.
I'm willing to say it. And all your mystery people who are mad at me, take a effing number. You know what I mean? I'll get to you in time. Because here's what happened. This poor guy had to sign his life away. On top of having a contract with WWE, he signed his life away so that if he does, in fact, get seriously injured in the ring because of the very public history with health issues with him, they get nothing. Not that WWE is good at taking care of their workers' needs and medical issues. Big Vito is in litigation because now it turns out CTE is a thing. So now they're going to sue to get what's coming to them? When, what's his name, broke his hip and had all his problems. They had the hip replacement and everything.
Mick Foley.
Their main guy.
Yeah.
This is their guy. They told him to go, pound sand. It's disgusting.
He was begging fans to help pay for his surgery.
It's disgusting. So here's the thing, fans. What's easier for you to do? Put pressure on the WWE to not have your guys injured, or pay the GoFundMe later on? What do you want to do? What makes more sense, you dopes?
They were able to get the whole Fabulous Moolah thing changed.
Yeah, that took about all of 32 hours.
I know. But they are going to sit here and cheer Daniel Bryan wrestling again? What is wrong with you? I just...
Listen, everybody wants it. I want Sean Connery to be James Bond again. The guy's in his 90s. It's not going to happen. I have to be okay with that. I can't say, no, really, drag this guy out of his chair and put him in there because I want it. I want it. Not going to happen. But, so, what are you going to do? This is someone's life you're talking about here. You got to take a long look in the mirror, subhumans. I know there's one in your mother's basement. She keeps one down there. I know there's one there. Take a long look in the mirror and reevaluate what your problems are.
Well, and with that said, take it away, Tony Schiavone.
Mr. Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.
Thank you to Big Vito LoGrasso for joining us this week. Head over to Facebook, head over to Twitter, type in Duke Loves Rasslin. Let us know what you think of the show.
100 episodes.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
And man, you sure got fired up about this Daniel Bryan thing again.
I hope you read in my contract that after 100, my rate doubles.
Give me a break.
You better get used to that.
We got the 2-year anniversary coming up, folks. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, you better wait because you know what? Maybe I won't show up.
Maybe
you're going to find somebody else.
Don't
This
be
Daniel
rude.
Bryan thing's really pissing me off. I got to tell you.